There are many videos on YouTube telling you what you must buy to make your videos more cinematic. This is not one of them. Instead, I'm going to share tips that anyone can apply, whether you're loaded with gear or shooting on the lowest of budgets. In my pursuit to make my own videos look more like movies, I've identified 5 things that will make a massive difference when you combine them. All of these tips are derived from one powerful principle: contrast. I want to go ahead and call it cinematic contrast. But to be honest, the word cinematic has a cringe to it these days that I always feel a bit guilty to use. The thing that really matters is the result. So let's focus on that instead. When I say contrast, I'm not referring to the contrast slider in post, but more about an overhead principle that, if applied, will guarantee to make your videos look and feel more like what you see on the big screen. We'll take a look at some examples from recent work of mine, but the idea is that once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. First up, we've got contrast in brightness. Although I enjoy lighting up my scenes, you don't need to own all of these lights to achieve the same effect, as long as you understand the approach and know what to look for. Take this location for example. I only used one light, and in some cases only natural light. If you analyze the visuals, you'll quickly discover a common thread throughout, and that's the contrast between bright and dark areas all over the scenes. Some people call it the checkerboard because of the jumps between contrast over the frame, but it doesn't always have to be bright, dark, bright, dark. Really, what you want in a scene is different pockets of light, like this shot for example. 100% natural light, but the dark patches up here creates pockets of contrast. When I'm location scouting, I'm always looking for scenes where this almost happens naturally and where I can rely on sunlight or just one light to achieve this effect. These dancing scenes were filmed in a very boring studio, and we had to rely on clever lighting and framing. Combine it with a great performance from the dancer and we were able to create strong contrast. Using just a single hard light source from the side creates this pocket of light against the wall, with the movements creating sharp and defined shadows, plus the added reflection on the floor, and boom, the shot looks great. With this, I'm not saying all your scenes need to be low-key, high contrast, but playing with bright and darker pockets will always make your scenes more interesting. Next, we've got color contrast. One of the best ways to add more depth to your scenes is to make use of opposing colors. On the color wheel, it's pretty easy to spot, so the goal is to combine these opposites in the same scene. This can be done with lighting, grading, and styling. In lighting, the most common use is the contrast between warm and cool colors. This combo is used excessively in scenes. Number 1 because it works, and number 2 because it feels natural, so you have more freedom to use it. In the first example, we're playing with a single warm lamp and some cool night light against the curtains. Add the flashing TV in the background and the scene feels super dynamic. Can you spot the pockets of contrast in lighting? Here's another scene where we used a combo of color contrast and pockets of bright and dark. It's as simple as that, and if you don't have all the lighting equipment to set it up from scratch, just look for locations where it happens naturally. Here I'm referring to real-life practicals. A night scene with warm streetlights and a natural blue sky is pretty straightforward. Shooting in blue hour with the lights of a car is as easy as it gets. You can amplify this effect by tweaking the color grade, and this is where your popular orange and teal colors come in. Playing with warmer highlights and cooler shadows is a great way to achieve this, but the trick is not to overdo it and to stay away from LUTs. Last but not least, you can also use color contrast in the styling of your scene. In other words, the moving parts, the location, the subject. A very good example of this is the Joker. If you just analyze what he's wearing, the contrasting colors of the costume immediately pops out. Orange and teal, and red and green. Although some of these scenes were graded to amplify the effect, a lot of the props and set design was intentionally set up with this in mind. A process that starts even before you switch on a light or a camera. In a Ferrari film I shot with my mate Raylan Joey, we used color contrast between scenes. So in the beginning, we jumped from scenes with red to an offsetting color green, and after the music drops, we combined the two with the red car driving in the green, color contrast. Another way to make your scenes more dynamic is to play with the contrast between sound. There's something powerful about hearing sound, going quiet, and hearing sound again. Contrast in sound effects can enhance the feeling of a scene when the sound comes back from a moment of silence. In most movies, when there's an explosion scene, they usually cut sound just before the explosion. The explosion isn't in any way louder, but because of the silence before it, it has more impact and feels louder. Cutting from sound to no sound can evoke a variety of emotions, immediately telling the viewer to pay attention, that something important is happening. With music, this is even more powerful. There's this scene in my showreel where the song builds up to a moment of silence and then jumps into the final climax. The contrast here is extremely powerful and instantly releases emotion, whether it's thrill and excitement, inspiration or sadness. The idea is to craft your edit so that you can take the viewer on a journey with various parts of contrast, like a roller coaster. Let's use my short film Perseverance as an example. We started off strong to grab the viewer's attention and then slowly build up to a climax of contrast to indicate the jump in time.
Let me tell you something about looks. Looks, they can be deceiving. Every time I start up this engine, I'm reminded of where I came from.
In the same way, we have our final climax transition into a moment of silence, and that's where we reveal the punchline.
To persevere is to walk into the wind, slowly running past the sun.
The contrast between the drop has the ability to unlock a volume of emotions. When looking for music, I'm always searching for tracks with these attributes, which brings me to the sponsor of this video, Musicbed. If you're familiar with my channel, you'll know that I've been raving about Musicbed from the start. Now, I wouldn't call it the start, because I've only been posting tutorials on this channel since 2021, but my journey with Musicbed stretches back as far as 10 years. Yep. That's how long I've been using the platform. My biggest motivation for sticking around is the fact that I've always managed to find amazing tracks that stand out, unique songs that haven't already been used by so many other creators. When you click on a video and you think, oh no, not this song again, it completely robs you from the experience. Somehow, Musicbed always has that one song that doesn't feel familiar or overused. From renowned figures to hidden talents. The platform is filled with gems and high-quality artists, and I've always been spoiled for choice. Musicbed is something that I can wholeheartedly recommend. But don't just take my word for it. Take your projects to the next level with Musicbed and hear the difference for yourself, and sign up for a free account. Use my code at checkout to receive 1 month free when you purchase an annual subscription. Contrast in frame rates. Another way to make a scene more interesting is to use one frame rate for a duration of time and then suddenly jump to a new frame rate. This is great if you're using a natural frame rate like 25 FPS and jump to slow motion. When you do the cut, one suddenly appreciates the slow motion shot because you've been seeing fast motion the whole time. You can also do it the other way around, where you cut from a bunch of slow motion clips and all of a sudden the speed picks up in real time, same effect. This is something you have to be intentional about, so if you have the option to shoot in more than one frame rate, go for it, but make sure you have enough shots of one frame rate to create that moment of contrast. Gear can certainly make your videos look more cinematic, but there are many ways to achieve this without breaking the bank, and it starts with the location you choose. From the colors of your subjects within the scene and using available light sources, to intentionally choosing a frame rate and then going into post and finessing it with sound and music. These principles can be applied in literally every type of film, and if you apply all of it, your videos are bound to be more dynamic. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.